Welcome to Perfect Postures. My name is Sam Barry. I'm here with Aaron Brooks. Aaron wanted to talk to you a little bit today about strategies to prevent a kind of low back injury or prevent any irritation of a current low back injury you have while you're doing all your traveling and preparing for all the holiday and the rush that we're in during these times. Not to forget about that. Aaron, what are some strategies you would use right now?
I think there's three main things. One, we're either going to be flying. Two, we're going to be driving pretty long distances typically. Yeah. Or we're going to be at home doing either preparing for dinners or we're going to be wrapping presents. So why don't we start with flights and really driving. So typically when we're sitting, we all know that, especially on the airplanes, the seats are pretty much horrible. I mean, everyone could agree with that. So a really great tool would really just be to roll up some bath towels. You can roll up some bath towels. We actually use these wedges here. You can place it underneath your buttocks here. And the reason for that is because anytime your knee comes higher up past your hip, that's going to place your low back into flexion.
You're going to round a little bit more. Okay.
And most times when people have low back injuries, it's going to be flexion based, not so much extension. So what that does, it gives the body a mechanical advantage to maintain a nice, healthy, neutral low back position. Number two, you can roll up another towel and just place it in your low back.
Just like a dish towel or something like that.
Yeah, a dish towel or a little hand towel, or you can even roll up your jacket for that matter if you're on a flight.
Good call.
And basically that's going to hold a nice posture.
Okay.
So this position is really optimal for keeping the back under the least amount of stress as possible. And then it's going to also help change, again, the tilt or the angle of the pelvis. Right. So that's pretty key right there as far as position goes.
Okay. Anything in terms of the angle that the back rest should be? Do you want people to not lean back?
You don't want to lean too far back, but really I think more importantly is the angle from the hip to the knee and then having that lumbar support to keep the healthy position of the spine.
Great. What about all the standing positions people are going to be in?
Good. So standing, especially if you're going to be preparing meals, you're going to be standing at the counter. And typically when people bend forward and they're cutting the vegetables or preparing, they typically just bend forward at the waist. Now, again, this is flexion. So you don't want the low back to actually flex this way. What you should do is actually hinge from the hip. So basically you'd hinge here, and what that does is it actually creates the low back in a position that's very stable. Now from there, you could slightly bend the knees, and if you had to, you could even rest your hand on a countertop.
Great.
But that's actually a very stable position versus doing this.
So we're trying to keep that caved curve in the back,
yes,
and keep the natural curve and bending a little bit in the knees and the hips,
right,
and maybe a little bracing in your stomach.
You can even brace the abs, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, good point. So secondly, for the being at home would really just be wrapping presents.
Sure.
Quite often you're sitting down on the floor, you're sitting Indian style, you're cutting away, you're taping, you're down there for 10 minutes, you stand up, you come up, and the first thing you want to do is just go, you want to stretch your back, right? So the better way of doing that would be just to clear your kitchen table, sit down there, cut the paper, wrap, and it's a much better position for your low back. So that, again, you're not in that forward flexion position.
Great. Well, thank you very much for the tips today, Aaron, and have a very safe holiday, and we'll see you next year.